Let's go!
Welcome back to the Hall of Fame College Football Podcast. I'm your host, Jason Watkins. And if you love college football, you know you're in the right place. So before you forget, smash that red subscriber button, like our videos, and don't forget to ring that bell so you don't miss one moment of the Hall of Fame College Football Podcast. Hey, what's up, fellas? Glad to see everybody in the stream tonight. Looks like Coach Roybal is going to be out tonight. He's a little sick, under the weather. So you just get me. May have a guest popping in here in a few minutes to talk a little bit about a couple of things. Actually, I wanted to get into a little bit on realignment and a couple of things on that, and then these top 25 coaches rankings that we're seeing from the Athletics, Stewart, Mandell, and Bruce Feldman. I've got a few little bones to pick with it. I figure you guys probably do too. I'm not necessarily having an issue with Brent Venables and Steve Sarkisian not being on the list. But if they're not going to be on the list, then I feel like some of these guys shouldn't be as well. We'll jump into that as well just a bit. Also, let's see. Also, we will talk a little bit about, I've been getting a lot of backlash since all this stuff about Lincoln Riley and everything that happened while he was still in Norman, the last 6 months of his stay. And just kind of, we're going to go through a little bit of that, letting everybody know kind of what did really happen. Yes, Mike Gundy is on the list, Matt, as a matter of fact. So we will talk a little bit about that. I'm having some issues hearing myself here, so I hope everybody can hear me. Is it good? Is it loud? Let me know what you think on there, because I'm not getting any feedback on here. So let me see if maybe I've got some audio issues going on. That's why. No? Seems to be okay. All right. That's cool. All right. Yep. I agree. It's kind of BS on that. Yeah, let's just jump into that a little bit. We'll get into the first set of rankings coming from Bruce Feldman. Yeah, Hank, I did. You know what, though? Here's the deal I think about that. I don't really care. They can be mad. To me, it's kind of one of those deals where it's like, I just kind of feel like it's true. I didn't say anything that was wrong. You know what I mean? When it comes to that stuff. And we'll get into that in just a bit. But talking about these rankings, let's look at Bruce Feldman's. I'm going to share this screen with you just a bit. We'll kind of run through this for just a second. And then we'll kind of talk about it. But let's see, where is it? Yeah, I believe this one's it. All right. Yeah, so as you see, number one on the list, obviously Nick Saban, Kirby Smart 1 and 2, Dabo number 3. The other list is pretty similar. It's got Saban 1A and Kirby 1B. Absolutely. So those are probably right. Dabo, I mean, I feel like he's definitely one of the top coaches. I don't know that I have him at number 3. I don't think that Harbaugh, I mean, winning the Big Ten, in my opinion, isn't that big of a deal right now. But he has been in the playoff 2 years in a row. I don't have a terrible problem with it. The first one that I'm running into that I have an issue with is James Franklin. I don't get any of this when it comes down to it because he beat Utah once. Cam Rising got hurt in the Rose Bowl. These two right here, Ryan Day and Franklin, I have a hard time believing that James Franklin has done enough to be considered, particularly in a top 5 scenario. If you want to throw him in the top 25, then I'm probably not going to have a huge issue with it. The one that I just don't understand why in the world everybody thinks he's so great. Let's see 1 to 6 should be playoff coaches in some stretch. Yeah, I guess so. And like these, everything is set until you get to number 5. And then, I guess if you want to talk Ryan Day, you can go there if you want to. My thing is with Ryan Day is that he took over a program similar to what Lincoln Riley did at Oklahoma that was fairly ready-made for him. For whatever you want to say about Urban Meyer, the guy just won everywhere he went. And they actually, they won the first college football playoff. He's been to a couple of playoffs since then. I wouldn't say that I would believe too much in what's going on with the hey, what's up, Q? Hey, good to see you on the show. I wouldn't say that I believe that Ryan Day is one of the best coaches in the country. I can just tell you that much. He recruits well. His offenses are great. And I think that the reason that he gave any kind of game to Georgia was that the conditions for them were perfect. It's one of those deals where they're in there in the dome on the carpet. They didn't win their conference. They kind of slid in there after USC got beat in the Pac-12 championship. I still feel like had they have played, and I would have rather seen them in Michigan. If they were going to get in, they should have played Michigan again. I don't think that they end up winning that game either. But if they were going to, I think it would have been, again, perfect conditions for them. They lost at the shoe against Ohio State, so it was kind of one of those days. And it was a dirty program. It was a dirty program, and that's fine. And you can say what you want about Urban, but he was winning. But the thing is that he's not doing anything that it takes in order for you to. I know he did hire another defensive coordinator trying to get that thing turned around there, but I just don't know that he's able to service that team as needed. I feel I've said this a bunch of times. I think he's Lincoln Light. I really do. I think he's Lincoln Light. James Franklin, again, getting back to him just a bit. What has he done? What has he done? I just don't see where it's I just don't see it. I just don't see it. Yeah, and then we can get into Lincoln. Now, he obviously is number 7 on this list. I would agree with what's being said here. This one is the Feldman. He is definitely one of the top offensive minds in the country. In fact, he's probably the top offensive mind in the country. He's definitely the quarterback whisperer. He's able to talk them into both going there. And he gets them to play well. What the problem is that, again, similar with Day, and I think that he's probably a better coach than Day is. But at what point do you feel like this defense is ever going to make the turn? I'm not big on that one. I feel like this number 9 here, this guy ought to be in the top 5, just for the simple fact that Kyle Whittingham, as much as a lot of people right now don't want to hear or talk about anything about Utah because of all the BS they've been, a lot of their fans have been saying, I think that when it comes to Whittingham, he's not that guy. He's not the guy that's saying a whole lot. I think that he's kind of stuck in a situation where it's not great for them. And you can continue to see that, even though there's been some talks going on, and we're going to get a little bit more into this realignment stuff when it comes to that, there's been some talks going on between the Big 12 and Utah about the possibility. It appears that they continue at Utah to basically say that they don't want to make that jump. It makes almost zero sense to me. But oh, there's my sound. Yes. Okay. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me in view of the fact that you have honestly really no choice but to make that move unless you're going to go to the Mountain West Conference. I mean, if that's their choice, then so be it. I don't know where they think that that's going to help them at all. But to me, the Pac-12 is definitely, I mean, the WWE deal probably killed the Pac-12 as much as anything else. And you believe that or not, I think that that's probably it. Now, getting back to this coaching thing, I think that Whittingham definitely belongs, though, in that top 5 area. He's definitely a better coach. He's done more with less than guys like James Franklin. He's done more with less than Ryan Day. They barely lost to Ryan Day a year ago in the Rose Bowl. They did lose to Franklin in the Rose Bowl as well this past season, but it looked like they had him on the ropes. And then, of course, you had your quarterback go down. And when you have an alpha dog like that go down, you're probably not going to win the game in a bowl game like that, a New Year's Six game. I certainly think that he's a better coach than the guy that they got in front of him in Lincoln Riley, which is insanity to me that you would even put him above that you would put him above Kyle when he lost to him twice last year with the Heisman quarterback. What is this? I mean, what are we talking about? He is that guy. He is that. The guy's been there since Urban left. He was his defensive coordinator. He's been there since he left. I believe that this dude is easily one of the top 5 coaches in the country. I would probably slot him in myself, probably maybe right behind Dabo, maybe right in front of Dabo. But I think that he's definitely a top 4 guy. I don't see another coach in the country that's a lot better than this guy. And he has already a pipeline into Dallas where he gets a lot of those players out of there that are kind of flying under the radar a little bit. Top 3, top 4, or 3-star, 4-star kind of guys. So, that's kind of where we kind of go into this. Yeah. And Matt, I'm going to jump into this in just a second. We're going to talk about Brent and also Steve Sarkisian just a bit. And I'm going to tell you what James is saying here. It's this is essentially the deal is that he's just unproven. But what I would tell you is that they also have, they've thrown the guys in here. I'm just kind of run through the list of guys that I'm looking in here that I don't agree have proven anything either. Obviously Franklin and Day, I don't see much there. Mike Gundy, what are you joking? We'll get into that a little bit more in a second. Hugh Freeze. Hugh Freeze, I'm good with the fact that Hugh's in there as far as I think that, I don't know that he's the top 25 coach. I think that he's a good coach. I think that what happened whenever he left Ole Miss and the situation surrounding that is one thing. I don't know that I would have him in there. Let me see where he was at as far as there's another one I don't really like. One second. Yeah, he's at 19 on this list. The other list, I believe, let's see, Mandell's list here has got him at 22 in the top 25. You've also got Jimbo Fisher in there. That's obviously something to do with just the fact that he's won a national championship. That's the only reason I can even see that he's in there. The number 24 guy on the on Mandell's list, I think that he belongs further up the list as well. Talking about Jonathan Smith, but Sonny Dykes, I believe, is way too low on this list as well. A year after going all the way to the championship game, there was a difference there between him and Patterson. I would definitely say that he belongs before you put those guys some of these guys in front of him. Dave Clawson at Wake Forest. Now, I'm a fan of this guy. I think that he's done a good job, and they continue to do well. But if we're talking about guys, you just said something about, you guys were just talking about the fact of why isn't Brent Venables in there? Dave Clawson, as much as he's winning in the ACC and he's had good teams and they're competing, they were trash before he got there. I think he's a great coach. Don't get me wrong. Is he a top 25 coach? What's he done? What has he really done? He's not recruiting at the top of his class. He's not and maybe that's why you think he's a great coach. 11-2. He's had an 11-3 season. That's the best in school history. Good for him. But again, outside of, okay, I can give you that. Fitzgerald, yeah, okay, I'm good with that too. But in saying this just about Dave Clawson, and I think that, this is pretty high up on the list here, guys, for not having made a playoff, for not really having when was the last time that he won the ACC? I don't think he's won the ACC. I think the year that they did it was pretty Clemson's dominance, and it wasn't him. I think he's a decent coach, but I don't see what he's done. Okay, I just don't see what he's done. Now, Chris Klieman absolutely belongs where he's at. Okay, yeah. Let's see. Yeah, I would say Chris Klieman absolutely belongs there, or maybe further up the list. The job that he's done, the job that he has done at Kansas State has been incredible. I would even say, where is our boy? Don't tell me. Okay. And then Lance Leipold being at number 10. I was on with the Lone Star guys about a week ago. You guys should go check that out. It's kind of our way too early Big 12 finishes or whatever. Go check out the Lone Star CFB. No prime on here, no, on neither one of them. And so again, I would say that when you start thinking about, okay, so I kind of throw Coach Prime into the same list as what I'm going to talk about with Brent Venables, is the fact that no, they're probably not proven enough yet for the larger picture, right? We're going to get into that a little bit in just a second, but let me talk about Lance Leipold a second. Him saying I was struggling to find someone for the 10 spot after writing up 5 or 6 coaches. I started looking at Leipold's capsule and realized this is the guy. Been a miracle worker in Lawrence. He absolutely has. They went 6-7. They hadn't won more than 3 games. And they won what? 3 Big 12 games in 2022. Yeah, listen. I hadn't realized it was this many, but these Division III championships that he won, 6 of them at Wisconsin Whitewater, 2-time MAC Coach of the Year at Buffalo. At Buffalo, he goes 24-10. And he was always continuing to do better. I think that it's a perfect situation for him in Kansas. I don't see you ever a school like Texas is never going to hire this guy, right? They probably wouldn't hire Klieman either, right? Now, what I would tell you is Matt Rule, what has he done lately? I don't know about him being this high up. Chip Kelly, fine, I guess. I don't necessarily have a problem with that. Kalen DeBoer, I feel like he's not even on the other list. They're saying because he hasn't proven enough. So obviously there's a reason why when you start looking at Mandell's, why some of these guys aren't putting these guys in there. But then when you start looking at, okay, Mark Stoops, okay, yeah, I don't know. We'll get back to him. Hugh Freeze, I'm not a huge fan of him being on this list. And I think Mike Norvell is way too far down the list. I also think that Josh Heupel, way too far down the list. Way too far down the list. Brett Bielema should not be anywhere close to this list, if you ask me. Not anywhere close to this list. Troy Calhoun at Air Force. Okay. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. And look, I'm an Air Force guy. I'm a veteran of the Air Force, so I like it. The Air Force is doing well. They did beat Baylor in the bowl game. That's hilarious. But Josh Heupel, let's talk a little Josh Heupel for just a second. And I'm gonna put some of you guys' stuff up here on the screen here. Something what you've been saying. Fickle over Day. Mike Gundy is a joke on this list. I'm about to have somebody on here. We're going to talk about that with you guys. Will enjoy this. Who would have won with Winston at quarterback? I would have won with Winston at quarterback. I love it. I love it. Pat Fitzgerald, yes. Yeah, and I agree with you here. I mean, I think that just by view of what he's done, Brent Venables has done just in the recruiting side, that he's already proven that he's and building a better team than that. Now, he needs to win. He needs to go win, particularly with this schedule. He needs to win. Guys, I'm going to go ahead and welcome in. In fact, I think this is probably a pretty good time to bring him on. This guy is the host of the Locked On Oklahoma State guys. Now, everybody behave on this, all right? Behave, be nice to him. But this is our boy, Cody Stovall. Cody, welcome to the show, my friend. I don't have video of you. What's up? Oh, I lost him. It kicked him. Did you guys kick him out? Hey, are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me? I don't know why
I can hear you. What's up with your video?
Heck, I don't know, man. Hold on, give me a
Oh, it just kicked him again. Kick. All right. Well, we'll continue on until we get him back. All right. Brett Bielema belongs nowhere near on this list, though. Troy Calhoun, I don't know. I don't really have a huge problem with it. I think there's better coaches. And if you're going to tell me that what a guy like Troy Calhoun has done, or a guy like there, in fact, I saw somebody else on here that I wanted to say, maybe it was on the other list. Let's see. Yeah, it probably must be on that other list. Let me look. You had another guy that they had on there. Let's see. Thanks. Jeff Monken from Army. I mean, you've got two guys that are, we're talking about two guys that are, they're service academy guys. What are they proving? What are they proving? I mean, at least with when you start talking about the Air Force coach, when you're talking about him, at least he beat a Power 5 school in a bowl game. You know, Troy Calhoun. I mean, what is Army doing? You know, I don't get it. I don't buy it. I know that somebody was pretty close with Notre Dame this past year. I think it was Navy maybe, but in any event, I'm not saying these guys aren't good coaches. Are they top 25 in the country coaches though? No. You know, it's just insanity. Yeah, and to me, these guys say stuff and they do these rankings. And again, this isn't an exact science, and of course, it's going to be subjective. That's great. I'm good with that. Yeah, I don't think that Prime should be on there yet. Well, how is Gundy on the list? Jimbo Fisher. Yeah. Matt Campbell is on the list. Matt Campbell is actually on the list at, where did they have him? He may have just been on one of them. But he's on Mandell's list down towards the bottom. But they've got, so Mandell has Mike Gundy at 14th on his list. Matt Campbell's number 25 on his list. Let me see if Gundy made the list for, I don't think Gundy made the list for the one that I'm looking at here for Feldman, which thankfully Feldman gets it on that. Fickle, I believe, is right up there at the top of both of these lists. He should be. Jimbo, I don't buy into. I don't really buy much into Mark Stoops either, because of the fact that he's at freaking Kentucky. You know, he's at Kentucky. And it's just it's crazy to me. It's crazy to me that you've got a guy that, okay, he's won some games, but what huge game has this guy won? And winning 7 or 8 games in the SEC because it's the SEC doesn't necessarily make you a top 25 coach. And I'm not even saying that I'm not a fan of him. And I think that he's probably earned a job for life at Kentucky. Great. But are you ever going to see these guys really contend for an SEC championship? No. Yeah, and again, I'm not. But there's another side of that, Matt. There's another side of that, what you're saying here. What would he do if you gave him a contender's job? Because he could probably get one, right? What's he going to do? What's he going to do there? What's he going to do if you gave him Florida instead of Kentucky? What's he going to do if you'd given him Tennessee? Is he going to go in there and flip that thing around the way that Josh has done? Because, again, I'm with you guys. I think Josh ought to be a top 10 easy guy. They've been a dumpster fire. A dumpster fire. Okay. Okay, based on what, though? Based on what? Because is this a guy that's going to be able to go in there and let's just say like Florida, or let's say Florida, and let's compare that job to Florida and Tennessee even, right? Now, Josh Heupel, obviously Tennessee's, it's got more tradition, so they're going to do better, right? But do you think that he goes in there and does the same thing that Josh just did? I don't. Right? He's more defensive minded, run the football, do this, no dynamic offense. Without that dynamic offense, what are you going to do then? Right? I don't see it. I have a hard time believing that. Now, on top of that, where is he going to recruit in comparison to these other guys? If you start looking at old G5 Billy at Florida, and that's probably going to piss off our Florida boys that love us, but that's what he is. He's G5 Billy. Exactly. I believe that this is the perfect. I think that where Mark's at, I don't necessarily have a problem with him being in the top 25. I think that him ahead of some other guys in the top 25 is an issue because of the fact that I just don't think that you can put him on a contender program and he's going to be settle in and become a contender all the time. I don't think that even in the case of when you start talking about Florida and Billy's bringing in guys that are going to, that these are, stud quarterbacks. They just picked up another 4-star for the 25 class today. If you watched any of his film, he's unbelievable, great athlete. Is he going to get those guys? I don't know that he is. And I know that he's, and I mean, I think that when you start talking about Josh Heupel, same thing. Look at the job that Josh did while he was at UCF. Look at the job that, that he did as coordinator whenever he was at Oklahoma. I think that there's a difference. That's a real, he's in a big time situation. He can win big time games no matter where he's at. I don't know that I believe that Mark Stoops would do that. I don't know that he wouldn't. Maybe I'm wrong about that. And if I'm wrong, fine. And I'm not trying to badmouth Mark Stoops. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of it. I just don't see it. Okay. Yeah, but man, that'd be tough for him, I'm just talking about possible contenders. I mean, what do you think he does at, say, LSU? I think that he would I don't think that he's anywhere close to the coach that Brian Kelly is. I don't think that he's anywhere close to the coach that Brian Kelly is. I think that he would underachieve and be out of there in 4 years. No doubt. Yeah, at Nebraska, you talk about volatile. They still have expectations of them doing the things that they were doing at, 25 years ago. That's not who they are. It's not who they are. Iowa, yeah, maybe Iowa. I could see that. Sure. Let's see, someone like that. I think Mark would do well at Ohio State, UCLA. Maybe. I don't know. I maybe Ohio State. I don't know that offensively it's going to be it's going to be a fit there because they do like to actually play a little offense. He would definitely help shore up the defensive side of that. Maybe Ohio State might be that premier job that would work for Mark, possibly. I don't see him fitting at a place like, UCLA. I wouldn't take that job. If you're thinking about fit. Brian Kelly, I think Brian Kelly's an amazing coach too. I think that he's a jerk and nobody likes him, but I think he's a great coach and he belongs on this list where he does. Brett Bielema, where the hell did they come up with this guy? Is what I want to know. Where the hell did they come up with this guy? Brett Bielema's a joke. A joke. He took over at Wisconsin at a time when they were still really good from Barry Alvarez. And as soon as he left that, it was over with. And I knew at Illinois, when they were winning those games starting off the season, I knew better than that. It was all a facade. They were beating Indiana. Who gives a shit? They were beating Northwestern. They were beating Nebraska. Who gives a shit? They're nobodies, right? It's a joke. It's a joke. All right, so that guy, I couldn't believe he was on the list. Hugh Freeze, I don't understand why he necessarily belongs on this list. I think I don't think that he's terrible. I don't think that he's great. I think that what happened in the stuff surrounding him, it's kind of is what it is. F is for fanatics, my man. What's up, brother? I think that when you start thinking about those guys, I was kind of, hey, F is for fanatics, and Cody, I was kind of busting on your boy Billy just now. We are talking about the top 25 lists of coaches and who fits where. We were just right now, I'm busting on some of these guys that are on the list and some that aren't. Not huge on the Hugh Freeze addition to the list. I think Norvell probably belongs a little higher up. I think Jimbo being on the list is a joke, a complete joke. Who's this? Who's dancing with their recruits? Oh, Brian Kelly. Yeah, these guys. Yeah, stop it with Brian Kelly. That guy's a trip. I think that he doesn't help himself when it comes to his view of whoever. I think that he has already sold his self to the team. They buy into him. I think that the fact of what he did at Notre Dame, even making the playoff a couple of times, I couldn't believe that they did it. Yeah, they did. And that's what I was saying. When you start talking, we were just kind of talking about Mark Stoops in comparison to, like, I think that he's on this list. He's a good coach. I don't know that he belongs on the list so much because what you're doing at Kentucky, and maybe you guys agree with this, maybe you don't, but what he's doing at Kentucky, Cody, it's not the same thing as doing it at Florida or doing it at Tennessee or doing it at LSU or something like that, because I just don't know that he has the recruiting chops to do that. The list comes from The Athletic. There's actually two of them. I'm going to share both of them before this is all over with. But let's see, Mike Norvell at 21. I think the hype will being at 22 is a joke on this one. Let me look and see where he's at on Mandell's list, because I think that's just crazy. Yeah, he's at 18th on Mandell's list. We're talking about a guy who went and killed it at UCF as well. 2 years in at Tennessee. I think they were as good as anybody in the playoff, not named Georgia. I just don't understand that. Yeah, Kentucky, Kansas East. I agree. It's just one of those things that you're just not going to. The fact that he's going to do fairly well, win 8-9 games more times than not, maybe 7. That's okay. That's great. Good for you. That's what you should do there if you're a decent coach. I understand that, and that's exactly what I'm saying. He's doing a great job, right? He's doing a great job. But what's he going to do if he were to get one of these power jobs? I don't see that he would really do much better. I just don't see it. Tennessee would have to beat TCU. I think Tennessee would have beaten the brakes off of TCU. I think they would have beaten the brakes off of TCU. right? I just do. And again, these, I feel like, yes, Hank, and this is where I feel like you're right. I think that what you're going to see with Kentucky, they're going to continue to be one of those teams, right? That's going to be a good spoiler, right? Oh, here we go. Now we got Stovall coming in. Hey, there he is.
My guy. How goes it?
What's up, my brother? How you been? Guys,
Man,
everybody welcome
really
into
good.
the show. Y'all be nice to him. I know it's Okie Light, but behave.
Oh, come on now. Okay, come on now. I'm ready for it. I'm ready for it.
It's our boy. Welcome to the show, Cody Stovall from the Locked On Oklahoma State podcast. One of my favorite watches on the way. Even though he's talking about Okie Light, he does it with flair, and he cares about what he's talking about. He's good people. This is the one guy that tells it like it is about Mike Gundy. So there it is. TCU. Okay. Cody, we are talking about, as you can see, I'm looking at the rankings from The Athletic. There's two sets of rankings on here. Mandell did one of them. And then the other one. Yeah. So Mandell did the one, and right now we're looking at Feldman's.
Right.
Obviously, the first few of them are normal. You're going to expect Dabo Swinney, Kirby, 100%. Nick Saban. I think that Harbaugh's probably a bit up there, a little higher than I would have put him. Franklin, I think, belongs nowhere near the top of this list.
I 100% agree with that. That don't make no daggone sense.
Neither does Ryan Day.
He inherited a lot, right? That's a factual statement, but he's been able to maintain, and we've seen really successful coaches not be able to maintain. So I think he's fine there, in my opinion.
Okay, but let me ask you this. We get down here to number 9, Kyle Whittingham. You're going to tell me that either one of those guys is better than Kyle Whittingham? Because I'm going to tell you you're full of crap.
No. So when I saw that earlier, I actually did think, I mentioned it to the wife, that stuck out to me. Kyle Whittingham there. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's been very successful. But here's the thing, guys. He's winning the Pac-12. And you've heard me say this before, so it's not going to be groundbreaking news. But winning the Pac-12 is like winning the world's tallest midget award. Cool. It's great, but it means nothing. So to give him all of those kudos, to me, makes absolutely no sense.
Wait a minute, though. Because this guy, okay, he took over a group of 5 school, and he has them competing in you can say what you want about the Pac-12. It's top heavy. But they were
top heavy.
They were nowhere.
Top something. I don't know if heavy is the right acronym, but they're top something.
I don't
like top ramen, maybe.
Bro, I like that one.
Top ramen, chop liver. It's all the same thing.
Okay, as we can see, folks, he is not a fan of the Pac-12, which should help out a lot in one of our other things that we're going to talk about.
Oh, I'll bring it on. Well, it's not that I'm not a fan, right? It's that George Kliavkoff decided at one point in time, right around the time that OU and Texas decided that they were going to run off to the SEC, he had an opportunity. He had an opportunity to put the proverbial nail in the coffin of the Big 12.
Oh, no doubt.
Did he know? He instead took his nose and shoved it so far into the stratosphere he couldn't smell his own behind, and now it's caught up to him. He's playing a game of checkers.
What I would tell you, hold on. What I would tell you that Kliavkoff doesn't have the spine to be able to get the presidents of the Pac-12 to get their head out of the cloud.
Or the dollar bills, buddy. I mean, good and daggone well, it's about money, and he
absolutely. Hey, let's save this for just a second. Let's talk about this, though, for a second. What I'm going to tell you about Whittingham is this, that he outcoaches every one of those guys in the Pac-12. He outcoaches most of the guys in the Big 12 as well. This dude is and he's been doing it for a long time at a school that not the only other coach that I can remember winning at Utah was Urban. That's it. So, I mean, and of course, he's been there for a long time. He should, but he's got a great pipeline into Dallas where he's getting guys year in and year out. And Hank's got it right. Utah has more conference titles than Okie Light does.
Well, absolutely. I mean, my son's junior high school has more conference titles than we do. Get the hell out of here with all that business.
Right. So listen, I'm just gonna say this dude does so much more with less, believe me, he is one of those guys that throw him in a real program. If let's say that You know, and I'm not saying that I don't want BV at the program at OU, but I'm gonna tell you now, he was the first guy I was thinking about at Oklahoma whenever Lincoln left. Was
not a bad
absolutely
move. He is a good
Whittingham.
coach, and I do agree. It would be kind of fun to see what he could do with an insane amount of talent. But here's the
I've heard people talk about, you know, him being a replacement for Nick Saban at Alabama. You know, I don't know that that's very realistic, but I could see him taking over and doing just fine.
So you're right. I do love to call out Gundy's propensity to fall flat in fourth quarters, which has cost us arm and a leg over and over and over again. But, you know, realistically speaking, Kyle Whittingham and Mike Gundy do have some comparisons. I believe that Kyle Whittingham is right behind Gundy by like one game as far as wins at the same program. So the longevity side of things and the productivity side of things, like I get it. And the conference titles, right? They have to speak to this equation. So I think he's up there. I would maybe put him a couple notches lower on this list, but yeah, he's very deserving. That's for daggone sure.
He is. He's much. And okay, so do not compare him to freaking Mike Gundy. Okay.
Okay. Well, how not? Go look up the wins.
Do not.
They're almost identical. Go look up the years at the university. Almost identical. Go look at the recruiting classes. Almost identical. So how can you say that they're not one and the same?
You know what? Because you go look up what wins.
Bro, stats lives matter.
No. What about what has he done in bowl games? Has he beaten premier coaches year in and year out? No.
Who?
Never. Gundy.
His bowl game record is actually very good. And no, he hasn't necessarily beat premier people all the time.
No, he hasn't. Kyle Whittingham beat Saban.
You got to circle back to Notre Dame. It happened, right? Was last year a massive flop? Yes, it was. But let's also not forget that we did just beat Notre Dame.
They beat Notre Dame when Brian Kelly left. And they had a freaking
and Brian Kelly was leading Notre Dame to new heights, or is that what you're saying?
Brian Kelly's gone. Yes, he did have them in new heights. He's the winningest coach in
Notre
Dame
he had
history.
them maintained, but it's not like he was.
No, it wasn't maintained. That was the winningest coach in Notre Dame history.
Than reinventing the wheel.
The only guy that's ever made that at Notre Dame that had them in two different playoffs.
Okay.
That's. And on top of that, he was gone now. So don't give me that crap.
Right.
Come
okay.
on, man.
So okay.
Here's the other one. Here's the other one. Against his rivals, what has he done?
Him? Come on, bro.
Hey, what has he done
Notre Dame
against
have
Oklahoma?
a fairly
What has he done against
season?
his rivals? Right here. Here you go.
Oh, the rivals, dude. We've already had this conversation.
Right. No. So I'm saying, do not throw this dude in the same freaking breath as freaking Mike Gundy.
Don't sit here and try to pretend that they're not.
He's not. He's not in
pretend.
The dude is not in his freaking stratosphere, brother. Not
by what measure? You can keep circling the wagons. But conference
I just
titles,
gave it to you.
If conference titles is the one equational piece you're looking at, then you're 100% right. But everything I just listed is also factual statements. So you can't ignore the numbers just because the conference championships are not the same. Now, we've had this conversation.
Championships, winning big bowl games against big-time coaches. He hasn't done it. You know, I mean, and on top of that, how does he not win that conference title last year? Guaranteed, there's the difference right there. Kyle Whittingham would have won the damn thing last year if he's at Okie Light. He would have. They already had beat the brakes. They would have never allowed it to get to that situation where they lose.
Do you see me sit here disagreeing with you?
No,
I'm not,
and
because Kyle Whittingham is more aggressive.
That's why there's a big difference.
In the pivotal moments, Whittingham doesn't coil up into conservative mode. So yes, again, I'm going to give a lot of the nods to Whittingham, but again, you can't ignore all the other stats.
Okay.
I said they're comparable. I didn't say they were the same. I didn't say they should be ranked right next to each other. They're comparable coaches.
All right. Well, and you know what? Some of my audience is in agreement with you here, but you know, some of them aren't. But then you're talking about Utah has been to what?
I call a spade, fellas.
Yeah. Look, man, I agree that I think that Gundy, there was a time that he was a lot better than he is now. We've had this conversation, you know. I think that he's fallen in love with his own story about what the that program is and what he's built there.
Right.
And
for sure.
the truth of the matter is, when it gets to this time now, at this point of his career, when he's not, I mean, I was watching your show from this morning, and dude, I mean,
nut cutting time, baby.
There's obviously an issue going on there where, they brought in some good players, but they lost a lot of good players. And for what? You can't just put it on these players. You cannot do it when it's many of them. Yeah, it's bad.
I'm actually very, very, very glad you got to this. And if you saw the show, you'll have a decent idea of where I'm going here, right? So we've had the conversations about, you remember when I was getting slammed for putting some of that stuff out there, right?
Yeah.
And so I had to kind of navigate the waters of a bunch of bull honky just because people don't like things coming out,
you can
right?
say bullshit here. It's okay.
And I bleed orange, right? This is what I do, and I love every single minute of it. But I'm also very understanding of what needs to be out there to be fixed. If you never ever acknowledge there's a problem, you can't fix anything. So we have some information that has come out there, and I do indeed believe that it forced Gundy's hand to change a little bit. And if you notice by some of his last few press conferences, little things that he always, you could say, struggled with was not being personable, not building all of those relationships, being, people into their junior years, and he's still calling them by their number, which gave, again, a negative connotation on his inability.
They don't care about it, that he doesn't care about them or anything else.
Right. And then some of the stuff with the wide receiver room, right? I put some of that stuff out there. I got slammed for all that. Ended up being true. Again, was I putting stuff out there to slam Gundy and O State? No, I was just trying to put stuff out there so we can grow as university. And thus far, the reports in the locker room are Gundy is being different. He's being more personable. He's talking to people first name basis. He's kind of taking that CEO role. He spent the last year and a half studying defensive film, so now he has a good understanding of what that side of the ball is supposed to be. I hate the way that he does his hiring process. I think it's very elementary, but I will say, guys, get familiar with this new defensive coordinator. He's a savant.
You're not selling him on. You're not selling anybody on that one,
bro.
You're not selling me on that one, bro.
Here's the deal: if you got people in
Division 3, what are you
space,
shitting me?
If you like to bet and you like to make money, this new defensive coordinator is about the best diamond in the rough he's found since Yurcich. Because all the other diamond in the rough stuff is ridiculous, but I think he did good on this one. I know he did good on this one. I can tell you why if you want to, but I don't want to take up your audience.
Let's not just do this make it about Gundy, okay? I said that I don't think he should belong on this list. Let's not make it. We don't have to go and make this all about Gundy, okay? I don't think he belongs on this list. Let's continue on with this list. He's definitely not better coach than Chris Kleiman. He's definitely not a better coach than Matt Rule. He's definitely not a better coach than Sonny Dykes. He's definitely not a better coach than Josh Heupel or Lane Kiffin. And Lane Kiffin isn't even on one of these lists. I think it's insanity, that he is as high up the list as he is. If people wanted to throw him for what he did the year prior, not what has gone on in these last couple of years, if people want to it just goes to show you how very little a lot of these writers know when it comes to this conference and how much they're paying attention or not paying attention when it comes to this conference, the Pac-12 conference, et cetera, et cetera. It's a bunch of BS because you got Jimbo Fisher on this list. Why the hell? Why? Because he won a freaking national championship 10 years ago. Are you shitting me? Jonathan Smith, if you want to talk about a coach that's underrated, this guy's not even on one of the lists. He ought to be in front of freaking Coach Gundy. I mean, the guy went and won a major bowl game. The guy did everything but beat USC last year. Obviously, he's at Oregon State. We don't know what all that means. He's proven that he's a good coach. This is his first stop, and it's his alma mater. I don't know how long he stays. That being said, Matt Campbell, I think that he's definitely better than Mike. And I think that obviously the thing about Matt is you got to remember what he took over when he got. Nobody has won at Iowa State. Nobody. He's been in conference championship games at Iowa State, right? Yeah, that's you're talking about Willie or Coach Fritz. That's another list that's also on here. The G5 coaches, top 15. We'll get into that in a second, because there's some of those guys that are way better than some of the dudes on this list right here. But
bro, you were making a lot of sense for the most part until you tried to say that Matt Campbell is better than Mike Gundy. Come on, bro.
Wait a minute. Wait, think about what I just said.
On, man.
I just clarified exactly why I told you that.
Yeah, I patiently waited on a decent justification, and your justification is look what he took over. Iowa State was terrible. Really?
Yeah, and he got them all. He's had them in where he beat Iowa a year ago. Yeah, are they great? He didn't have what he did last year.
How many 10-win seasons does he have? Let's
look. I believe he's got one, right?
Okay.
He's got one, and he's been there how long? And how long when's the last time Iowa State won 10 games? Tell me that.
I don't know that they ever have.
Yeah, okay. So that alone tells you that he might be pretty good. He's
pretty good. But dude, and again, this is the funny part, right?
He beat
here's
the other reason.
I think Gundy has
freaking Gundy.
Jesus, Mary and Joseph, you got me here defending Gundy. You did this, sir. You did this. All right, hold my daggone beer. You got to take into consideration, yes, they're L's, which is why I have a decent amount of disdain for what Gundy has created. But let's not sit here and pretend that we didn't play for how many of those bedlams were pseudo for the Big 12 title? How many of them? 5, 6? At least.
So win one. Shit.
I understand, dude. I just put in a prerequisite that said all the L's is a massive problem, which is the issue. But you cannot sit here and pretend that the dude has not put his weight in gold, orange gold, if you may, in longevity and wins. How many losing seasons does he have?
Stop.
Ever?
Yeah, because he pads his crap.
How many losing seasons does he have?
Stop it.
1. Calm down, bro.
It's going to be another one.
Calm down. Just because you're part of the OU crew, and just because you get to relish in all those Bedlam W's that did, in fact, mean something, it doesn't mean you can't take away the stats, my guy. Numbers are fun for a reason. Numbers are fun. Stats equal most of sports.
Bro, you know what? I don't care about your win percentage. I don't care about your win percentage because you don't win anything of significance. When you win more than one conference title, when you win one conference title in 20 years.
Agreed. But don't act like we didn't play for Oklahoma 7 of them.
3 times.
It's just like, hold on. It's like if somebody were to talk a bunch of trash on the OU, making it to Final Fours, but never being good enough to win. In my opinion, that's stupid to say because y'all made it. Right? And it's very hard to do. But you're now doing the same thing. Gundy makes 7 Big 12 title games, and you're like, well, he sucks because you never won one. It's the same argument, bro. Come on now.
At some point, you got to win one. At some point, you got to win one, bro.
Big game Bob.
No, he wasn't. At the end, he wasn't. At the end, he wasn't.
And like I said, for a decent amount of time, and he lost his fastball. So the question this year is,
that's what I've been saying.
Has Gundy lost his fastball? Because it looks like it.
You know what? I'm less of a fan. I'm less of a believer in Mike Gundy than you, and that's fine. But what I'm going to tell you is if what you just said, he lost his fastball.
I didn't say I was a big believer. I'm just saying you're ignoring
if anybody's lost their fastball, it is your boy.
Yeah, I just said that. I agree. That's why this year is huge.
All right, let's get off of this.
If we have another bad year this year, we have to be willing to face the music that we can't get so far behind that we never catch back up.
And you are already getting there. You're already getting there.
I see. You're just saying that from crimson-colored glasses, my guy.
And hey, just real quick, I'm glad somebody brought this up. Rob, thank you for this. Rob, thank you. I don't know if you watch the Golden Blue Dude.
All the time, dude.
I've always watched. Yeah. He passed away today or last night. And I don't know what just happened or what the hell's going on. But I hope that everybody, all you guys that watch content on YouTube for sports, these guys, this dude was one of those guys that he always put stuff out there. Whether you like West Virginia, don't like West Virginia, none of that matters. This dude was a hardcore lover of the game. In fact, for the Lincoln Riley haters of the world, he was right there at the front of the freaking line on that deal of talking smack about Lincoln after he left the way that he did. This is a friend of Oklahoma's program. This is a friend of the Big 12. This is a friend of college football creators, and we should all say a prayer for his family. They have a I'll go on and find his their
man.
I'll go on
You
and
know,
find they have a fund set up for funeral expenses, things like that. I hope that everybody would pay attention to that. Maybe throwing a couple of bucks, man. Whatever you got, that'd be great. I just think that, you know, I'm glad that you guys brought that. Thank you, Rob. I appreciate that. And
Yeah,
this was a really, really good guy. Just
so I'll be 100% real with you. Hand on the Bible. He is probably 70% of the reason that I started to get into this, right? Because I always thought you had to have a broadcast journalism degree or a sports marketing degree to get into this industry.
And that guy,
I watched him.
Holy shit.
I watched him grow, dude. From when I started watching him, I think he had like 1,100 fans, and then it got to 13,000, 14,000, and it was so fun to watch his climb because he was 100% genuine. And you were right; he would talk a little bit of everything. And you know, I actually thought that, you know, he was a little bit too broad because he would talk about any conference, anywhere, anytime, any sport. But dude,
he really became one of those guys that towards, you know, right now, if you start thinking about this conference realignment stuff, and some of the stuff people thought he was so far off the wall, and it turns out he wasn't very far off at all, if at all. You know,
and you know, some of his ACC stuff is a little wild, but it could come true. You never know. Yeah, no, he's a great guy to watch. Yeah, that's awesome for Rob to bring that up. I actually did not know that. But yeah, his shows were fun.
They were fun. He was a trip, man. And he talking about having thick skin because he had to.
Yeah,
you know, he kind of, even old, you know, what's old Uncle Lou's show, which I love Uncle Lou's show, and Uncle Lou loved him, and, you know, but he busted his chops a lot, but, you know, and I mean, it was easy to do that. It's just like, you know, we all bust each other's chops, but I got to tell you that Golden Blue Dude, when I first started my channel, which, you know, it hadn't even been a year, but when I started watching, you know, and I got into it because a lot of the conference realignment stuff was what kind of spurred the channel on to start with. Okay. And I found myself watching him damn near every day.
Me too. 100%.
And it's just, and I've watched him a little less lately because the last month or so, I've kind of, the conference realignment stuff is stupid to me right now. I don't know what's happening there. We are going to talk a little bit about it now.
Oh, you know what's happening. Come on.
I do know what's happening, but I haven't watched as much of it lately because I just don't care. I think most of it is exactly what we've been talking about, that it's going away. The Pac-12 is going to go away. I think that the WWE deal shows that it's going to go away. There's not enough space on terrestrial television to be able to keep them. But this is a guy that knew that. And he made his channel off that. But he also made his channel off of being a genuine dude and being real about that he wasn't, you know, a broadcaster. He wasn't a journalist per se, but he loved college football. He loved college football. My line about, if you love college football, this is, you know, you're in the right place, kind of came off of some of the things I've heard him saying, you know, throughout his time there. I appreciate Golden Blue Dude very much so, and I'm so sorry that he's gone. And
very sad.
we're gonna miss him. Let's move on from that. Let's move on from trash talking.
Yeah, dude, he was number one on my bucket list to get on my show when we played West Virginia. 100%.
Yeah. It's sad that man, that sucks.
Yeah.
I was hoping to have Kuz on tonight. To talk a little bit about some of that stuff. Not so much about him, but he would have had a lot to say there too, because I know him and Kuz had done some stuff together.
Awesome. Yeah, Kuz's corner, right?
Yeah,
it was good stuff.
Yeah, Kuz is a good guy. Anyway, shit. Yeah, see, that's how I agree with
100%.
you. Yeah, and you know, he would. The thing about him was that he would definitely, he might argue with you about what you're saying in his comment section, but that's awesome that he was one of those guys that told me, you interact with your crowd. That's cool. That's cool to do that. You know, your guys that are in your lives, you should interact with them. I think, and his live streams got a hell of a lot bigger than mine have. You know what I mean? It's just, and I've been, what a good dude, man. I'm sorry to hear that.
100%.
When I saw that this afternoon, it just, I mean, that's terrible.
That
Definitely prayers go out to his family and to the people that care about him and his show.
Heck yeah.
All right. We can get off of this, ranking stuff too. What I would tell you is that there's some guys for sure that should have probably been here instead of, let me stop sharing this. Let me go to, I want to jump on just for 1 second. I want to do these top 15. Oh, dang it. Of the G5 coaches, because there's some guys in there that would absolutely outrank some of these other dudes, I think. Oops, wrong one. Number one, first and foremost, being Jeff Traylor, who's number one on this list. Let me find it. Let me share that one real quick. Okay. So
yeah, he would be my number 2 target.
Right.
Like if as an O State fan, if say we win 5 games next year, we got to get rid of Gundy, yada yada yada. Who am I going after first? Todd Monken. Who am I going after second? Probably Jeff Traylor. Definitely right. Jeff Traylor.
Right. Willie Fritz would be another guy we were talking. They were just brought him up, obviously beating USC. He beat K-State at K-State this season.
Well, and when you watched them play y'all last year, you saw
and that game was supposed to be in New Orleans because of the hurricane. They moved it to Norman, and they still almost beat Oklahoma. I mean, you could see that he probably had Lincoln's number. Because, you know, and that was a year before they got as good as what they were this past season, because they were very good.
Year.
Yeah, they were very good. I really like Willie a lot. I think that Jeff has proven he won like 3 or 4 conference CUSA championships in the last few years. He's got the number 1 group of 5 high school class of 2023. I did not know that.
Well, and you know, their starters will play with anybody. It's just, unfortunately, he's never, I don't think never say never, but
he does a great job in the portal as well. Yeah.
To me, it'd be hard to fathom him ever building like a big time 2 deep, 3 deep at UTSA.
Yeah, I think you're right there. But here's the thing, he was definitely a legendary high school coach in Texas, just like Joey McGuire at Tech.
Right.
From what I guess there was some serious interest there instead of Joey.
Really?
I think they did a good job with Joey. But I also I do agree that I think that Traylor may have been a little better for that job. I think that why he decided he didn't want to go to Tech, maybe that's more of a lateral situation. He probably got a better recruiting grounds from UTSA than overall what you're going to get at Tech year in and year out, except for the fact that the Tech is in the Big 12. I don't know that it's a job that I would automatically take if I'm trying to become a big time coach.
Yeah, I mean, I disagree. Right, UTSA fans, they hate not having
recruiting grounds. Is what I was saying about that. I'm not talking about like CUSA. I'm not.
You're there in the thick of
right.
Numerically speaking, probably some decent recruiting, absolutely for sure, but they don't have the financial capabilities or facilities to capitalize, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, but see, here's the one thing I would tell you. When I was at Hobbs, which was, I mean, it's been 20 years now, but when I was at Hobbs, UTSA was an NAIA school that played the College of the Southwest in Hobbs, New Mexico, in all their sports. They have grown from that to a Division I school winning Conference USA in 20 years.
Hey, trivia. Okay. Who do you recall who the Division I coach was for UTSA and who they played to open their season?
I do not. I'm guessing that they played Oklahoma State.
Man, you're good at this game. Yeah, Larry Coker. Larry Coker was their first.
I forgot that he had started off over there. Okay, that was a smart move on their part then too.
100%.
I think that was a smart move on their part too. Larry was a good coach.
Yes, he was. And yeah, he got them a foothold, right? He got them in at least a foothold of being competitive, and now you see some fruits of his labor. So yeah,
absolutely.
Hats off to Larry Coker.
Yeah, so Jeff Monken at Army is number 5 on this list. Jeff Tedford, which Tedford was a good coach for a long time. He's his first year back at Fresno State.
He was a Cal, yeah?
Yeah, he was, and he was good. Or maybe, yeah, he was. Yes, Cal. He was what? They said he's 82 and 57 during that run. You know, I think it was good at a time. He was that was when he had we would not have what am I doing here? Yeah, anyway, we wouldn't have who the hell am I'm losing my mind here. Who's the freaking quarterback at Green Bay?
Packers, Aaron Rodgers?
Yes. He is the Aaron Rodgers guy.
Discount double check.
Sheesh, man. Yeah. Okay. Man, Aaron Rodgers. Yes. Thank you for Aaron Rodgers. Thank you, Hank, James. Appreciate it, boys. I don't know what just happened there. I had a senior moment.
It happens, man.
Tom Herman, I think this is kind of funny that they brought him in on this list. I think he's definitely a better coach than where he's at. I don't suspect he'll be at Florida Atlantic for very long. I don't care what Texas fans say. They screwed up in firing that dude.
I think you're right.
Rich Rod, I had
His
no
tactics
idea.
were a little odd.
Yeah, I had no idea that Rich Rod was back in coaching and at Jacksonville State of all places.
The Rich Rod from West Virginia and Michigan.
Yes, sir.
I'll be darned.
Yeah, I thought he was all the way
Bring
out.
it on.
Rich Rod. That's another. Hey, this guy was. You talk about a precipitous fall, man. He should never have left and taken that Michigan job. That was a terrible.
Yes, sir. Yep.
So yeah. Okay. Now, let's see. Tyson Helton. I was trying to look and see if I like any of these other guys. I'm not necessarily that I know all these dudes. I do know Craig Bowl. I think he's a good coach.
Consistent. Yeah.
Yeah. Tyson Helton's done pretty well. Mike Houston. I like Mike Houston a lot. I think that he's going to be. I think he's going to be really good. He did well at ECU last year. They almost beat NC State. I think NC State is another one of those programs that, you know, if they were, you know, they're not going to probably ever get past your Florida State or your Clemson's because of where those guys are recruiting at. But this is a guy that's going to year in and year out find a way to. But that's a program that's going to find a way to compete. This guy, I mean, did everything but beat them, and ECU's been really good. They've been really good. So,
consistently.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is like his second year, but yeah, Rich Rod has coached everywhere. You're right about that. Who's the Marshall coach? You know what? That's a good question. He's not. I'm not sure if he's on here. He probably is, right? Because he should be. That guy's been a hell of a coach too. No. Yep. Charles Huff. Yep. There he is. He's 16-10. They beat Notre Dame. They almost beat North Carolina. Yeah. Beat App State, James Madison. Yeah, I like him, man. I think he's a good coach too. These are all guys that are probably on the rise that you could see taking over some of these other jobs when they come open. I feel like as much as I like, and this is kind of where I'm kind of at on some of this, is that why isn't Josh Heupel higher on that list? Why not? Why isn't Kalen DeBoer higher up that list? I mean, 1 year at Washington, he goes in, he beats Texas in the bowl game. He only has he had a 10-win season right away at Washington. The year before, they weren't good. You know, I like Kalen DeBoer a lot. I also like, as I said, the guy from Oregon State a lot. Some of these guys deserve a little more recognition. I'm a big Lance Leipold guy. I think that dude is the real deal. And you know where I could see a dude like that taking Oklahoma State and putting them in another stratosphere of where they're at right now. I do.
As for if you're saying the same kind of rise as KU, like it's hard to deny, man.
Think about it. No. I mean, the dude won 6 national championships, and it was, of course, the Division III. But that shows you championship caliber is championship caliber. When you can coach like that, and then look at what he did immediately at Central Michigan, and then immediately at Buffalo. I mean, he had Buffalo. When the hell have you ever heard of them being in the top 25? They were there. Imagine him at a place, because I know that Oklahoma State fans like to listen to that narrative that you guys aren't able to recruit at this level. Yes. I disagree with that wholeheartedly. Yeah. But what I would tell you is he's going to recruit the right guys to come there. Also, yeah, I agree. Joey McGuire probably deserves to be on the list of the top 25. He had a top 25 recruiting class, which is unheard of at Tech. Unheard of at Tech.
I think,
but maybe a little early. Maybe a little early on him, though.
That's what I was about to say. Time will tell, but I think what he has going, right? If you are talking about the definition of a shot in the arm for a program,
sure,
he was that, right? When it comes to momentum, Texas Tech's riding more than anybody, I think.
Yeah, listen, they beat Oklahoma and Texas a year ago. You know,
the OU and that Aaron Morton kid's good, and Tyler Shuck's been there forever. So
hey, listen, I think that they're good. I really do. I think that they're good. I think that he's good. I don't know how long they're able to keep him there, because they're just not great at supporting that program. But I would just say that, you know, that's just kind of what I feel.
I think that they're in a position that they realize that if you're good at football from a financial perspective, it's going to give you the capability to be good at everything.
Sure.
KU has proven you can be the bee's knees, king dingling in basketball. And yes, it means something, but in the broad scheme of things, no. So I think KU knows that. They realized that, right, which is why they finally have donors stepping up to chip in on the stadium. They're going to bet the house to keep him. And let's not pretend KU's got money. They've got donors that have money,
and
they just have never had a reason to pay it.
I think if you know, with all this BS talk about the AAU status and versus not being AAU status and all that shit for the Pac-12 and Big Ten, which is stupid. It is all stupid. They would probably be the most attractive to the Big Ten just because of where they are and because of the fact that they play great basketball. And this is a coach that would recruit well in Big Ten country and play well in Big Ten country, right?
You know, if they want to do it at this point in time, it's like
it's not happening now.
I hate to see him go, but
it's not happening
now. San Diego State.
It's not happening now, bro. It's not happening.
Well, I don't think that, dude, that AAU accreditation to me eventually is going to mean
it's
nothing but a piece of paper.
You know what, man? It matters in the Big Ten because that's where it started. And I guess it matters in some places. I'm going to tell you, and don't take this as a me loving on Texas move, because it isn't. But what the Texas medical system and what they do medically, they don't give a shit about AAU, nor should they.
No,
they have as good a medical program at the University of Texas and throughout their system. At Baylor, for instance, Baylor's medical program is unbelievable. I mean,
it's a business now, man.
And we're having to teach these kids. The AAU stuff is what it is, and you've got a few of these schools that matter that are in it. But I'm going to tell you that you could. I tell you now, if Texas wanted to be in the AAU, they'd be in the AAU.
Yeah.
Right? They'd be in the AAU. If Baylor wanted to be in the AAU, they'd be in the AAU. Let's go ahead and talk about that. Let's talk about this Pac-12 BS that continues to be
I love it, man.
It's like emphasis.
It's like if you try to flush a snake down a toilet bowl, it keeps popping its head back up, right? It's fine in signs of life, but you know inevitably it's going down. So it's just so fun to watch.
Yeah, that's funny, guys. Hank,
too much orange.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Call me the human highlighter, fellas.
No doubt, no doubt. Yeah, the orange highlighter is here. He is here. All right. Anyway, so this Pac-12 deal, where I was at, I was hoping we would get Kuz in because he did a video yesterday. For anybody who hadn't seen it, go check this out because he's talking about the fact that, and I don't know how many people are big wrestling fans these days. I'm not as much of one as I used to be, but I admit that I like wrestling. They got a new deal though. They just basically got bought out by UFC, and there's this huge deal that they've got with, it's a television rights deal that's Some of it's streaming, but a lot of it is going to be on terrestrial TV. If you listen to what Brett Yormark was talking about during the Super Bowl, where he was saying that, you know what, we made the deal that we made for the Big 12 early because we knew that this was going to come about. You had a lot of these entities out there, and he mentioned wrestling. He mentioned the WWE himself, talking about the WWE. You've got NASCAR out there that's probably going to be redoing their contract before too long, or maybe they just did. You have there were some other ones that he was talking about, but he was saying it's not just about college football and what is being used up on Saturdays. The fact of the matter is that all these other entities have something to do with the deal that you're going to get at this point, because there's just an oversaturation. And at this point now, and I do feel like that you don't want to have a predominantly streaming deal, except for the fact that more people are watching YouTube than ever. More people are streaming all of their cable stuff than ever. I still think you're 5 to 10 years away from that being an all the time thing with everyone, but I do think that it's coming. I think that the Pac-12 is toast. This deal right here, they're going to be taking up a lot more room than they already were. They already own Thursday nights and freaking Monday nights. They already did with wrestling. They're probably going to add another night here or two. That it's going to, if you're not Alabama, if you're not a marquee school, are you going to beat these guys? No.
Bro, when you're talking about traditional TV,
yeah,
they're having conversations I've seen with like the CW and the Ion Network.
And they don't, yeah. Go figure that, right?
So
somebody said something about USA yesterday, the USA Network being a part of that. I think that that's better than the CW and Ion. I mean, the USA has been around longer. I don't know how much better, but it's better. You know what I mean? It's still a cable. What did he say?
The Pac is on life support. Oh, it
is on life support. Yeah.
There's a Tesla that needs charged, so plug it in.
Hank is the man. Yeah, you are the man, Hank.
Heck yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah. And this is where I feel like, again, this is a situation where if you are some of these schools, and let's forget about Utah for a second, because there's a lot that we could say there.
Oh, come on. Let me have some of Utah.
You can have some in a second. Let's talk about Coach Prime first. Okay.
All right.
Let's talk about Coach Prime. Let's talk about
Kim nailed
it. And what it is that the Big 12 is trying to do, which is smart, by the way. The Big 12, and I've said this a bunch of times, I believe that Brett Yormark, had he come around 10 years ago, things are entirely different.
Even 4 years ago,
4 or 5 years ago, even, it would have been entirely different. The things are a whole lot different. Mm-hmm. Now, what he's about to do with pulling these basketball rights separate, I love it. And it makes sense to me because of the fact that I go back to my own childhood, and I remember ESPN being at its height. It was Big Monday and Super Tuesday. At College Basketball Central was ESPN, and I was there for it. I was there for it. That's what I loved about it. And so I'll tell you that I believe that there's more of the NCAA tournament tells you there's more of a market for it than they want you to believe if you're the networks. Right. And I think that Yormark knows that.
Oh, yeah.
I think that he's clearly knows that. Right. So that's smart, because you're not going to really compete dollar wise in football with the SEC and the Big Ten contracts. Right. Not
for any time soon.
They've got the big time programs there. You're going to have to, in order for you to even come close, you would have to go win multiple national titles. We don't have to talk about the likelihood of that happening. We know what it is. That doesn't matter. But if you're going to stay, if it's about staying alive, and right now it is about staying alive, because there are two that are up here money wise, and that's going to hurt everybody else's recruiting. When you start talking about the NIL possibilities for these kids, you start talking about where they can get to with their facilities, where they can get to with their visibility and stuff like that. Because of these two deals, you had to find another way. And Brett Yormark has done that, because what he's talking about, I don't know if you end up getting UConn into this deal or not. I don't know if they end up pulling finally whether or not I know they've been talking about trying to bring UConn on as well. They just won the national championship in basketball. So if you're trying to do a basketball league, it would behoove you to make that move. Also, I would say the same about obviously Gonzaga. I mean, Gonzaga, they deserve to. You need them in there.
I know that's happening.
Arizona State. I agree
deal.
with you. I agree that Gonzaga is happening. Arizona State, San Diego State, even at this point. And if you're trying to get into that West Coast, then you definitely want to have Gonzaga, San Diego State as thoughts. What I would tell you is right now, that may not be something that happens today because that's dilutive of the conference under the particular deal, under this particular deal.
No.
If they're not a Power 5 program already, they're not getting paid by ESPN or Fox.
Yeah, but Arizona State, Colorado, Utah.
Those ones are happening. No.
Yeah.
I was talking about San Diego State. People were talking about San Diego State, Fresno, Gonzaga.
Don't forget, we're the only conference that has that stipulation.
Correct.
That when we add Power 5s, we actually get more money.
Correct. Yeah, that's that whole
But
deal.
Dude, I think I would give up the Utah money and take a not gaining any money by bringing San Diego State in a heartbeat. Dude, Utah
probably, and I can see that happening just because of what's going on. Because
that's what happens.
if it's what you're hearing is right, because, and I'll tell you that I don't believe in Monty very much. I think that dude's full of shit, and his whole shtick of you hear this sources say every day. He's got his little sources that are telling him this and that, and it's all bullshit stuff. It's already been there, and it's already come out somewhere. It's just it hasn't come out just enough for it, so he can sit there and say that he's hearing the same thing, or whatever. The dude's full of shit. Now, that being said, what you're hearing a ton of from around is, this is when you start with the whole ion thing. You start with, all of this stuff that we're talking about, it's all crap. The point, and I did a short about this, and YouTube won't even play it for whatever reason. But I'm telling you, I think that you have guys like Canzano and Wilner, either their credibility is dead or the credibility of guys like, Mandell at freaking The Athletic, or, obviously Brett McMurphy, Dennis Dodds. We're talking about somebody's full of shit. And I know it's freaking Canzano and Wilner. I can tell you that it's Canzano and Wilner. I believe in McMurphy. I believe in Dennis Dodds. Just so I make this clear, I'm not buying into Canzano and Wilner. I believe that Brett McMurphy is one of the best in the business, period.
Yeah.
I think that Dennis Dodds is one of the best in the business, period. Yeah. I believe that Pete Thamel, albeit an ESPN freaking homer, is one of the best in the business, period. Okay. These guys are all saying one thing, and you've got the guy from the New York Times saying the same stuff as them. These dudes are in the know, and you constantly have Wilner and Canzano over here either completely saying the opposite, and even I've seen where they've called these dudes out, and I'm thinking, what are you doing to your freaking career,
bro? Canzano don't know his ass from his forehead.
His freaking, the name of his column or his show is The Bald-Faced Truth.
The Bald-Faced Truth, huh?
Mm-hmm. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. The guy kills me, man. It's anyway.
Well, hey, but here's the deal. He could potentially capitalize on this and like rename his show like the Bullshittery Express.
Shit. Yeah, full of shit. Yeah, full of shit. Yeah. Something along those lines. It's trash.
There you go.
It's trash. Complete trash. Again, all I would tell you is that I don't see that. Here's what we were talking about with the wrestling stuff, and this is something that came from your guy. He was, when they were talking to the commissioner, obviously the Big 12 commissioner, he was talking about being at the Super Bowl and why he made the deal that he made. Because remember, until all this stuff got real shaky, a lot of people were questioning, why did you make that deal so fast? Don't you think we could have got more? Because people were still listening to, the Kliavkoff BS about.
We could have got more, but
No,
I
don't
think, dude,
he said
there's
he said
no way
himself,
you
I don't
can't
think we
say we
left
would
a
have.
dollar on the table. I don't think we left a dollar on the table.
Bro, dude, he did that at the time when we had a lot of teams that were still cruising, and there's nowhere he couldn't have been a fortune teller, right? He couldn't have. But if he could have been, and you're telling me he could have gone in the future and realized that TCU and K-State were going to end up having the success they had, that he wouldn't have made more money doing it then.
I'll give you that. Maybe. But here's the deal.
By
At
him
that
doing
point,
it early,
but he took away the last deal that the Pac-12 had, is the point that I was making. What he did was smart. To get that while it was there, because he knew that, look at what's happening with the Pac-12. You're not hearing anything out of Kliavkoff at all, period. You're hearing some of these conference presidents saying something, right? Kliavkoff has gone radio silent.
Well, yeah, because people are probably telling him, like, dude, shut up, stop putting your foot in your mouth. And
now
just
they continue to. There's this narrative, and here's where I think that Canzano and Wilner are really hurting their own credibility, is because they've become his PR. Instead of doing real journalism, they're now in PR. They're now in propaganda work for the Pac-12. Yeah, they're flunkies, and this guy's a flunky. Bro.
Yeah.
Warmark has lapped this dude 1,000 times now. Lapped him, right? And we're still even considering that. And then you still have these people in the Pac-12, which I get it, that if you're trying to stay saying that, you believe for the sake of the conference for whatever reason. But the truth is, all you really have to look at is this. This is the simplest part of the whole thing. Yes, this is just another signal. This WWE deal with the UFC and all of it, I don't know the entire ins and outs of it. I just think it takes away another avenue that you could have put the Pac-12 out there, right?
Well, not only that, I don't know if it's Ion or CW, one of the two. They're the ones that cover all of the live golf stuff too.
CW,
so there's not a lot of meat on the bone, and
but that's just another signal of what we've been talking about, that it's over. And make no mistake, here's why it's over. Because even if they don't do it today, let's just say, for the sake of argument here, that they come up with a deal that's somewhere in the neighborhood of the Big 12. For the sake of argument, because I think that's ridiculous.
I got you.
All right, let's just say they do that. What are the odds that they actually sign a grant of rights? They're not going to do it. You know why they're not going to do it? Because Oregon and Washington have one foot out the door.
Yep, stability matters, and the Big 12 has that.
Right. Oregon and Washington have a foot out the door. I would venture to tell you that Colorado, Arizona, and Arizona State, and even Utah, no matter how much shit they're talking, they've got a foot out the door as well. The second that that Oregon and Washington get the offer, or Stanford and Cal, whoever the hell it may be, they're gone. Yeah. It's over. There's no way they sign a grant of rights. I don't give a shit what their TV deal is. There's no way.
I bet that Arizona and Colorado at least are part of the Big 12 before that happens. I think the Big 12 is finally the one. I know everybody's talking about the Oregon Washington domino.
No. Well, that domino matters just for the Pac-12. The Big 12 is in. The Big 12, I don't even think it's a competition anymore, brother. It's not.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying that I think that we end up with Arizona and Colorado at least by this time next year.
And if Arizona goes, so does Arizona State. They're both gone. If one goes, the other goes. So
and Utah's fun because they're puffing their chest out, which is fine. You noticed now that the conversation is legitimate that San Diego State could be that other possible spot. Utah fans have kind of shut up a decent amount now. You're not hearing as much about them because, a month ago, San Diego
except for
State
Monty
wasn't
and his
even in their
bullshit.
hemisphere.
Yeah, you're not, and I don't think that Monty's helping Utah's freaking case at all, because every time he starts talking about it, he goes back to that entire. Thanks, Weston. Appreciate you coming in. What's Oblivion? Should tell me what that is before you leave.
You've had a couple comments I want to make sure we get to. Somebody said Porter Moser's like a really bad coach. I disagree with that.
Yeah, I don't think he's a terrible coach either. I know Jimmy. Jimmy's one of my guys that likes to. He says what's in his what's ever in his mind, and he's not happy with Porter, and I get it. And I think that Porter. I don't want to get into this basketball talk a whole lot when it comes to Porter Moser, but I think that it's a tough situation. Me and you talked about that before.
Yeah,
I think it's
me,
not
it looks
a great
like
situation.
When he draws up great plays and the game's going well, right? It goes well. But in my opinion, from what I could see, it looks like some of the players like just quit in the middle of the game. I don't think that has anything to do with Porter Moser, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with the Thunder. I think a lot of it has to do with the arena. I mean, there's some issues. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you had another comment after that I thought was pretty cool, but I
go for it. Bring it up.
I didn't see it.
ESPN made it clear that the Pac won't sell.
Yeah, there we go.
So they need to grab free network TV companies. Yeah, they would still have to pay for it's not going to be free, but they're going to have to do whatever they got to do.
And it's funny, like you're hearing some of the reports that they might not even get up to 50% of what the Big 12 is getting. Like that's so sad.
The latest thing that I was hearing,
no way they survive.
I want to say it may have been on Sick on 365. They've done a really good job with a lot of this.
Yeah, you're right, Hank. The longer they wait, well, and that's the thing. 2 years ago, they could have got at least $30 million a school, and they could have possibly stolen us in Texas Tech, but they didn't.
And Baylor and TCU.
So that's
they
why
could have gotten at least
can't help but laugh.
They could have gotten at least 4. They could have destroyed what was left of the Pac-12.
Oh, great show,
Big
Jason,
12.
Little bro. You see that? You see that shit? You see what your people are doing up in here?
Yeah, it is Little Brother. Come on, man. Come on. You already know that. Of course, that's
Utah does act like Notre Dame, and I don't flipping get it.
Yeah,
all
right, and that's the whole. That's what I was saying about Monty. He's on this thing. They're on this kick about that. They continue to say that the academics in the Big 12 are trash. We could do this all day. It's not. I know better than that. I know better than that. And because of the fact that they're not all medical schools, you can say whatever you want. They're not all medical.
These people know nothing about engineering and farming and mechanical and aerospace engineering.
Oklahoma State is more of a land grant school. That's why it was there,
100%.
right?
Yeah.
But in their agricultural stuff is heads above most places in the world.
And they'll never understand that in Pac-12 country, and that's fine.
And that's fine. That doesn't matter. But that doesn't matter. But on top of that, as I said, the UT medical system that is throughout most of these schools in the Big 12 that are med schools is right on par with the AAU. Right on. I mean,
don't slouch on y'all's. OU Medical Center has been
I agree with that as
very well renowned for years.
I agree with that as well. I'm not even getting into all that. When it comes to Oklahoma, I mean, petroleum-wise, they're one of the top 2 or 3 schools in the world when it comes to petroleum engineering.
So you've seen like the renderings and everything, and we've started putting donations for the new Oklahoma State Athletic Village thing. Well, did you hear about the Tulsa, Oklahoma State Tulsa? Their medical's grown so far that there's a legitimate probability that we're going to have that facility advanced enough to where we're now going to be able to do like surgeries right there, right then and there, just like OU and Texas can do.
Again, it's a stupid narrative, dude. And let me tell you why the biggest reason it's a stupid narrative. One thing doesn't have shit to do with the other.
Right.
Your AAU status is not going to get affected by where your freaking football team plays on Saturday.
I don't think research dollars buy helmets. I don't think so.
It doesn't have shit to do with it. And that whole conversation is stupid. It's stupid. It's been stupid. It's been dumb from day one. I've been saying this from day one, and they continue to say it from every day since then. They're talking about how the reason they've been able to do it is because when the Big 12 or the Big 10 expanded with SC and UCLA, they were talking about they wouldn't expand with anybody that isn't an AAU school because they are run by AAU in that conference.
Right. Yeah.
Yippee, whatever. Who gives a shit? It still doesn't have anything to do with anything else. But they were able to use that as a narrative. And this America is all about narratives these days. That's all it is. It doesn't have to be true. It just has to work. It just has to fit in your little box that you're trying to sell everybody.
Yep.
Okay. And again, I can't believe I'm sitting here freaking having to take up for the Big 12 still when I'm pissed at the Big 12. But it's not. I'm not pissed at Brett Yormark though. You know what I mean? I mean, I'm pissed at freaking Iden. Never mind. Moving on. Bottom line is one thing has jack shit to do with the other. Okay.
Roger.
Nothing to do with the other. It's stupid. It's a dumb conversation. And the fact of the matter is Utah can still continue to do its research with Stanford when it moves to the Big 12. And acting like that's not the case is doing nothing but maybe getting your invitation to the Big 12 not come in the mail.
Yeah, they've postured themselves potentially out of position, which is, again, it's comical. But you and I both know at the end of the day, they are a Power 5. They do move more needles. They do give us more money. So if the people behind the scenes, right, the people that matter from the financial perspective, they're talking to Yormark. And as much as the fans and some of the donors want to posture, the people in the building are like, hey, please don't take San Diego State. You don't want them. It's going to happen. Utah's probably going to end up in the Big 12. It is what it is. But I think it's funny that they put themselves in this position.
Once one of them leaves, if let's say you get, because we can talk about Coach Prime now, you're going to tell me that whatever this deal that they come up with, you're going to tell me that Colorado, with the momentum that they're building with this guy, and I don't give a crap what I don't want to hear anybody tell me he hasn't done anything yet, because he has. He's already recruiting like they matter. Okay.
Well, and he's got people bought in. They want to play football.
Believe me, they're going to be fine. The Jimmies and Joes are there. Okay. They're there. They're going to be fine. You mean to tell me that they have invested this $5 million a year, which they haven't paid a coach at all yet,
not even
at Colorado,
right?
Nowhere close. You believe that they're going to be okay with, oh yeah, let's just let's rot away in the Pac-12 where we've never won. We've had one winning season since we got there. Let's continue. Let's go. Let's take Coach Prime, and we were trying to get him off of streaming. Let's leave him there and see how that goes. Bullshit. There ain't no way. There's no way.
No,
they're not going to do that. And can you imagine a guy like Coach Prime and what they do with their own publicity and their marketing stuff? Imagine him with a guy like freaking Yormark, who is marketable.
Dude, Brett Yormark knows that's a gold mine, and people have actually asked me.
Match made in heaven.
People have asked me,
in heaven for the Big
wouldn't
12.
it bother you if Colorado came into the Big 12 and Coach Prime starts dominating? And the answer is no, not necessarily. I don't think he's going to dominate, but he's going to do very well, which is good for marketability, which is good for the conference as a whole. And let's face it, if Colorado's making Final Fours, that's flipping great. Sign me
Listen,
up.
And the freaking, hey, look, the playoff is expanding to 12.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, this is a gold
The chances are you're going to get, there's going to be years that you may not, but I would think that the Big 12 is probably going to put 2 teams in often to the playoff.
That should be the expectation. 100%.
I would think so.
Yeah.
I think that the SEC is going to get 4 to 5 sometimes. I do think that. I think that it's going to happen.
I think 5's a push, but 3 to 4 is going to be pretty regular.
I think that 3 and 4 is almost every year. I think that there may be years that you could see that jump into. I mean, I don't know that, but it's possible. Right? The Big Ten, they got to show me before I say that. As big as they are in the money-wise, they should. But
now, you tried to say the Pac-12 was top-heavy. The Big Ten is top
completely. Well, it's all the way top-heavy. There's, and even to some extent, the SEC's been top-heavy.
For sure.
You know what I mean?
Their top's just a little bit bigger.
It is. But what I'm saying is that when you start looking at the Pac-12, you have to agree that Oregon has done its thing. Utah has definitely done its thing over the last 5 years. Washington's been in the playoff. They've been in the playoff, man. Yeah. And they looked good. I mean, there's some good teams, but they're definitely top heavy. Colorado's a nobody when it comes to that up until now. Arizona, I think Arizona has a good coach. I
think they're on the right track.
I think they are.
Yeah.
I know that Arizona State's on the right track with their coach. Dillingham has done a great job everywhere he's been. I mean, look at what he did with I don't think much of Bo Nix. He looked like a Heisman contender last year. Of course, they didn't really play very many teams.
I was going to say at times, yeah, but in big games, not so much.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But you're right. No, productivity is productivity, no matter how you put it on. It's just like throwing into a net, right? It's on air, but it's not easy to do.
Right. Yeah, and I agree with you on this, James, to an extent that the fact that BYU is there. And let me tell you, let's explain to this what it really means. Here's why they have a problem with the Big 12, and because of the fact that BYU is there. When they were in the same conference,
that's good.
BYU won 9 out of 10. When they were in the Mountain West together, or the WAC, BYU won 9 out of 10.
So it's not the holy war; it's the holy whooping.
The holy ass whipping, yes. And they are afraid that it's going to go back to that. Now, what I would tell you is what's happened in the last 10 years of Utah being in the Pac-12 has helped them tremendously. But that it could very easily screw you up if you end up back in the Mountain West. You're screwed now, right? You're screwed. But, and I would tell you that I think that that's when you see Whittingham say bye.
I mean, I don't know. He might stay forever. I just
freaking way he stays forever if they allowed him to go to the fucking Mountain West. Sorry, excuse me. I don't use the F word.
No. There's no way that Utah, the decision-making people, are so flippin' naive that they legitimately think the Pac-12 has a shot. It's like it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
They will end up being a really, really awesome Mountain West, like a really badass Mountain West. Does Utah want to be there for that? Probably not.
Here's what I'm going to tell you about this one, Rob. Colorado, you think it's a stepping stone job, and I hear this a bunch. Let me just give you another perspective.
I don't buy it, man. I think if he succeeds, he'll be there.
Let me give you another perspective on this. These are the guys that gave him an opportunity, and this is at a Power 5 conference in a situation where he can exploit a pipeline into Dallas because he's been in Dallas for so long, into Texas because he's been in Dallas and in Texas for so long.
Imagine if you put him in the Big 12 and he has to go to Texas multiple times.
Look at what he's already doing in Florida. Look what he's already doing in Florida. I mean, he's recruiting the shit out of Florida.
Got those IMG connections.
Listen, he's going to be able to do it. This is a guy that can do it everywhere. And I'm going to tell you this. People want to say what they want to say about Jackson State and what he did and him leaving. He's still been very, 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 very loyal to Ashley Robinson, the athletic director that hired him there.
Yeah, well, they did him dirty.
What Jackson State did, Ashley didn't. Ashley Robinson did not. Jackson State's the presidents and then whatever was going on there. And I'm not getting into all that. What I'm saying is that he's been that man's money. Loyal. He's been very loyal to Ashley Robinson, though. And I'm going to tell you now that he's going to remain loyal to Colorado. If Mike Norvell was on his way out of Florida State, I'd tell you were probably right, Rob. I don't think Mike's going anywhere right now. I think that he's got it turned around at Florida State. They've got people talking about them winning national championship. Now, I'm going to pump the brakes on that talk. And I don't know that he takes that next step. But I see right now, I don't see Mike as being in trouble at Florida State. So I don't see, and I know a lot of people think he would go to Miami. I don't. Okay, I don't. I don't see it.
Yeah.
And I don't see his crystal ball is going to be in a whole lot of trouble there either yet. Not yet.
I think
although they're a little weird. But if here's the deal. I feel like you're in a situation where they're not going to expect Deion to win the whole damn thing today. In fact, if he wins 5 games and that's his, which would still be a major improvement.
It would be.
They're still going to be happy. I think his floor is 7.
I would expect 6 if I were a Colorado fan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. At least, yeah.
Hey, we got a new subscriber. Thank you, C. John. Appreciate that. Thank you. Good. Loving
Go
new
see John.
subs. I
Go
love new
see John.
subs, boys.
You're my
Folks,
boy,
you can
boo.
always take care of. Hey, make sure you're checking out the podcast merch site. You know, we've as you see, we've got the Otis Taylor stuff for Forever 89. I should have brought my other hat in there. You guys know about the horns down hat. It's been all in my new all of our new branding stuff.
What color is the horns down hat you got?
You can get it in whatever color you'd like, as a matter of fact.
Do you got it in God's brightest orange?
I can put it there. Yes, I can get it there. So yeah, we're all over it.
Bro, I will rock the tar out of it.
Yeah, so
Come on,
everybody
man.
get in there and check that out. You can always go to the Fanatic store as well. But hey, do us a favor, hop in there and pop us a tip on Cash App or Venmo, or hit that super chat heart. We're actually going a little overtime tonight. You know, everybody help us out. What I would say, Rob, again, what I think about what's happening here at Colorado, I think it's a situation where the Big 12 appears to be fairly safe for a while, right? Because of Brett Yormark. I think that where they're headed with Brett Yormark and what they can do there with Dion at Colorado, I think that it's an easier road to the playoff. And it's the same reason I don't think that if you're Florida State and Clemson, you necessarily want to jump ship out of the ACC. I think you need to get more money from the ACC and stay there. And if you're ESPN, you're stupid if you don't keep them there somehow. You go ahead and pay them, get them on par with the rest of the Blue Bloods, because that means that the ESPN just gets more spots in the college football playoff every year. That's what I feel like.
Bro, I feel like you're underselling, man. You're underselling. Right now, it goes SEC, dollar bills, Big Ten, dollar bills. The Big 12 is third in money. The ACC is not going to get close. The Pac-12's dead.
But here's the deal. ESPN's just going to torpedo its own fucking product that they still have on lock for another 13 years? No way.
Torpedo what? What product?
They've got the grant of rights. They have a product there. They don't have to let these guys go anywhere without paying $300 million to get out. No,
I understand, but you've been kind of talking about it's a race to who's going to be the third conference.
I'm not even talking about that. No. What I'm saying is this. I'm not talking about the conference at large. What I'm saying is here's what I was saying. Colorado, you've got Colorado State, Utah does come in. Obviously, you've got Baylor, you've got Oklahoma State, you've got, there's some UCF and possibly, and I think BYU is going to be a real deal contender.
BYU is a sleeping giant.
They are a real deal contender in this league. They have nationwide fan base. They do. Okay. The Mormons love them. Okay. Period. And it's just like Notre Dame. The Catholics love Notre Dame. That's going to be that way. Right.
Yep.
Now, so I think that, yes, competitive stuff. That's not what I'm saying.
Okay.
But
gotcha.
I believe that it's easier if you're Colorado. I think if you're Dion, it's going to be a simple and easier go to the playoff every year from where you are than for you to jump into an SEC school, or for you to go maybe even the ACC. But what I would tell you is that as far as Florida State is concerned, this is what I was saying. If I'm ESPN, I pay Florida State, I pay Clemson, and I pay Miami and North Carolina to keep them there and keep them happy for the next 13 years that I have this deal on the cheap, because I'm going to put two teams in the playoff every year too. Maybe one, but sometimes two, just like I just said about the Big 12. Right. I feel like that's going to happen. So if you're ESPN, you have an opportunity to kind of they already own college football except for the one big conference, but they could make sure that Fox doesn't get any more of a foothold by being able to have an opportunity to go and get a Florida State, or being able to go get Miami or North Carolina, which I believe is more likely to go to the Big Ten than the SEC if they were to move. Okay. I tell you that I think that North Carolina is more of a Big Ten school than it is an SEC school, even though they're in the South. Don't get me wrong on that.
Right. Yeah.
I feel like that's the thing. But so here's what I just feel like they should sweeten that pot for them, keep them around, keep them happy, and keep them competing. Right. It's easier for you to do that than to have to, you may make money off of their home games and do all that stuff at the ACC. I don't think that's I think you're going to end up in in protracted, ridiculous lawsuits that take years and years to deal with and cost everybody a shit ton of money. I don't think that's a good idea. I think if and this is my thinking, but in any event,
no, I think you're on there, buddy.
Yeah. And I do feel like Colorado, that's why I feel like Colorado's a great fit. I don't know that. I mean, I could be dead off on Dion, and he may jump at the first opportunity. But
I'm an O State fan, Rob, and I agree.
He appears to me that he's going to. I think that he is, as I said before, he will keep his allegiance to you. He loves this guy for bringing him in and giving him a shot. Not only that, he loves him for the fact that the last 2 coaches that they hired there at Colorado were also African-American. So this guy isn't against hiring black coaches. And I think that matters to Coach Prime. I really do.
Right.
And now he said that it's time for us to win. But anyway, yeah. Thank you. Hey, yeah. And John, I'm telling you, we're blown away by Golden Blue Dude passing. It's just
it's a rough one. It really is. It really is a rough one.
Crazy deal, man. I'm sorry to hear that, and I'm sorry that obviously you were a fan of his.
And I'll make sure, I'll shout out Golden Blue Dude tomorrow as well, because he's
guys. Make sure that you if you're not already a subscriber to Cody's show, it's growing fast, and I'm glad to see it starting to pick back up. He's on his push to 1,000 at Locked On Oklahoma State. Make sure you get over there and check him out. He doesn't just talk Oklahoma State; he talks a lot of Oklahoma State. But one of the things
that's what pays the bills, baby.
What I brought him on for tonight, though, was the fact that he does have a lot of information about the Big 12 and about the Pac-12. A lot of this realignment stuff, he's been right in the thick of all of it. You're definitely going to get the slant coming from that orange region over there. But this is one of my favorite watches on YouTube. Period. Definitely, you should be over there subscribing to this guy, even whether you like Oklahoma State or not. You know I don't, and I still love his show. So it's one of them deals. So yeah, and I agree.
Bringing it back to Golden Blue Dude. Like, I'm not a West Virginia fan, but when you put together good content that's interesting, that at least gives you insights into some of the conversations, it's worth the watch, right? That's the way I looked at Golden Blue Dude. Do I agree with everything he says? No. Do I care about all the in-depth things that are going on at West Virginia? No. But I love the way he presents it. I love the way he does his show. And I love the way he built his own brand up his own way without being a journalist, without being a broadcaster.
He's fun. His show was freaking fun, dude. Period. Yeah. His show was fun. And honestly, I've told you this before. I've been on your show a couple of times. I love being on your show. It's fun. Even though the fans of Oklahoma State can't stand my ass. They hate it when I'm on there. But I enjoy it. Because I like to pick at people a little bit. That's kind of the way I am.
Yeah, it's fun.
and I don't mind. I don't mind the comebacks. I don't. It's fun to me. I've been getting beaten to death by USC all weekend. So
really?
Yeah, dude. Screw them. But
jump me in on some of that. I love messing with the Pac-12, man. It's so much.
We're next on that. That's next up, and we're going to close with that. So, but I just tell you. It does make you think that you can be here one day, gone the next. It's so. In fact, I was watching his stream last night, so it's. Yeah, I'm really sorry that he's gone, man. I really am. So I never got to meet him personally. We interacted a little bit on his show a couple of times. I think he did a great job. I'm sorry that he's gone, and definitely I hope everybody says a prayer for him. We need to go and find that leak for the GoFundMe page that they have for them.
We'll find that and throw that out on Twitter.
Yeah, if you guys want to find that, we'll throw it on Twitter. We'll throw it here as well. So maybe toss that in there, and I'll make sure to get it everywhere. If you guys know where it is, see John or any of you guys. If y'all know that link now, I'll get it out now. Definitely, I'll put it on here. If not, you'll see it in the replay as well. So make sure we do that.
Well, and whatever you get a link or whatever, make sure you.
I'll retweet.
I'll include it in tomorrow's show as well.
Okay, cool.
Awesome,
cool.
brother.
Yeah, again, folks, anyway, let's move on. So yeah, let's talking just to kind of finish up this stuff. I believe without a doubt that the Pac-12 is probably on its way out. It's just a matter of time. They may be able to hold it off for a year or two. I tend to doubt that even. But I would tell you that I believe that you're probably in a situation now where you're probably in a situation now where it's again, Oregon and Washington have their foot out the door. So does Stanford, for that matter. Stanford's holding up them possibly getting San Diego State or whatever, and which is funny to me in view of the fact, and apparently it was SC and UCLA that kept Oklahoma State, Tech, and the other two schools from going into the Pac. These schools that appear to be on their way out are holding them off. So, thank you, Kim. I appreciate you coming in, buddy. Thanks a lot for coming in and checking us out. Yeah, so it's kind of a funny deal, but it's these guys that are holding it all up is kind of seems to be the issue. But again, we'll see what happens moving forward. But
makes for good entertainment.
It does make for good entertainment. I mean, you can actually get on Monty and laugh a little bit with some of the BS that they say. I mean, they're full of shit as it gets. But
you gotta smile, man. It's the key to every day. And if you want to smile, just go see what Pac-12 people are saying, and you will laugh your happy ass off.
Unless it's that guy that freaking pig dude that was on Twitter last week. That guy's an idiot, man.
Utah pig or whatever.
Yeah.
At least his name's fitting of his behavior.
He was an asshole, man. No doubt about it. The guy's out of control. Again, and that's what I hate the most about any of it, though, is that all of this just ugliness, man. And it's the whole country. Before, I don't want to get off into all of that, but right now, everything that's going on around our country, this ugly side. I mean, I didn't want to bring up this stuff with Caitlin Clark and all this stuff from LSU the other night.
Bro, that's why I
care about that shit. You know what? She was talking trash. The girls from LSU were talking trash. It's basketball. They talk trash. If you've ever played basketball, they talk trash.
Bro, if there's a sport out there where they're not talking shit to each other, is it a sport?
No, exactly. They do it in golf now, for God's sakes. Who gives a shit?
Bro, they've been doing it. It was just it used to be on the down low.
Yeah, man. It's, you know what I mean? Catch it. And the fact that we're talking about one girl followed the other girl around, and to talk crap, and the other one did it in passing. Whatever. They have different levels of trash talk. That's fine. Who cares?
It sucks for women's basketball that this is the hottest topic since Brittany Griner was in. I mean, isn't that sad?
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, and if that's what you have to sell women's basketball on, then that's a problem more than anything. Okay,
if this is what we laugh is Miami is back.
Yeah, bro, this is our Florida guy.
That's more like if you want to get a good laugh when Texas fans say they're back. It's great because it's every year. Every year, it's like we have a pulse. We're flipping back.
Yeah, it's a joke.
Yeah,
like Texas and the Texas is back stuff. When they get back, it'll be funny, because they've been saying it for 10, 12 years.
It will be fun. It'll be like
still only won. I mean, they had their best season. Well, not their second best season at 8 wins. Whoa.
Hey, man, it's a big deal at the 40 acres. They don't realize it, but
yeah, the good old 40 acres. Yeah, whatever. Woo. F Texas. All right. Make sure to get on there and check out that podcast merchandise. Everybody's saying they're going to. I didn't see anybody that did. You guys want to check it out? It's right above me. You can check it out right there at that link there. Okay. Last thing, this is what we're gonna end on. We've been going for a long time now. I'm gonna take 5 minutes here and say, for all of you folks that may or may not be watching from the Pac-12, maybe you catch this in a couple of days. You're a big fan of Tebow, Lincoln Riley, and everything that's going on and talking about. And I saw today where Dabo, which I'm not a huge fan of Dabo either. Dabo wanted to talk about how great a job Lincoln Riley's doing out there at USC. It's hilarious to me that we're continuing to have this conversation. Lincoln Riley they talk about how he took a 4-8 team and turned it into 11 wins, where Brent Venables took an 11-win team and turned it into 6. It's, that's a simplified way to go about it. And the truth be told, and this is what I've been saying all week, is that neither one of those statements is true. All Lincoln Riley did was take away his Heisman winning quarterback who was at Oklahoma, stick him in another uniform, along with Jordan Addison, who was the Biletnikoff winner of the year before that, and cheat to do it, by the way, if you listen to anybody in the world knowing what the hell happened. When they lost the Bedlam game, he was in a Suburban talking to Lincoln on the way back to freaking Norman. He was not on the bus with the rest of his teammates. Yes, he played in the bowl game. Thank you, Caleb, for that. Nobody, and I'm not even one of the people that is mad at Caleb Williams. I don't get upset with him. I understand he wanted to go play for Lincoln. Okay? I get it. I'm telling you now, the dude is shady. He's been trying to steal Xavier Worthy from freaking Texas for 2 years. He damn sure they had no reason for Jordan Addison to leave. They just won the ACC. He had no reason to leave. He won the Biletnikoff. He didn't need to go play for Lincoln. They gave him a fat ass stack of cash to go. The dude, and the reason, and the whole freaking video was about, what are these new changes to the portal where you can only do it once now? What do you think that's in response to? I guarantee you it's in response to Lincoln Riley and his shadiness.
You know what, man? I never thought of it from that perspective, but you're at least 80%, 75% right. Because, yeah, clearly at some point in time during the season, Coach Lincoln Riley decided to go super sketch mode. And
there's no doubt about that. He was recruiting for USC. Williams, they were recruiting for USC before they ever announced they were leaving.
I think he played Caleb, and he said, "Hey, man, I will start you next week if you come with me to USC."
I think he knew that. But it's not. The bottom line is this: is that whatever was said in there, and I don't. Do I feel like Caleb Williams has hurt himself as far as Oklahoma fans are concerned? A little. Okay. I'm gonna say this one more time for the people that didn't hear in the nosebleeders. I will forever have a soft place for Caleb Williams in my heart for being down 28-3 in the Red River game and winning it.
I will always have a special place in my heart for Caleb Williams too, for almost winning Bedlam, but falling on the ground.
Shut up. But what I'm telling you is this. I know damn good none of this stuff is BS and rumors like what I heard all in the comments section. None of that is. You're going to tell me that Pat Narduzzi just thought of it out of nowhere. All this smoke coming from everywhere aside from Oklahoma. It's not just coming from Oklahoma, people. It isn't. It's coming from throughout the Big 12. He's poached players from Oklahoma State. He's poached players he's been trying to poach players from Texas. He's poached players from throughout the country, and people have been talking about it for a while now.
Mm-hmm. He's got his Jimbo Fisher going on there, real good.
I'm telling you that there's a reason behind it now. And the next thing that I'm going to say is that it's not just BS that the dude doesn't have a clue, nor does he care about how to build a freaking defense either. And they're never going to win a national championship like that. They're not.
Real question, not let's try to pile on and throw shade. Legit question. How many games does USC win if they were in the Big 12 this previous season?
Not as many. Yeah, not as
many.
I
would say 9.
Maybe 9. Yeah, maybe. Here's what I'll tell you.
Maybe.
Essentially the same team, right? At Oklahoma won 11, right? But there were 6 games that they very easily could have lost.
USC? Yeah, I think
Oklahoma the year before with essentially the same team.
Roger. Yeah.
Right? They had the Tulane win. They had the K-State win was by a few. I think they won by 2 or 3 over West Virginia at home. I mean, there was games, the Kansas game, they would have lost if not for Caleb Williams putting his cape on in that one.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm telling you that very easily. Yes, I think that they probably win 9. I think you're not off there.
I'd say 8, 9, yeah, for
9 games,
right
but yeah,
there.
probably. And I mean, they get a chance at the Big 12 still.
And I agree with James.
I don't think
8 or 9.
I think that Caleb Williams is the best player in the country. So I think that would have made it wouldn't have changed a whole lot. But here's what I'm going to tell you though. What do I think that they would have done in the Pac-12 had they played Washington and Oregon? They don't get to the Pac-12 championship game.
You're probably right.
That's what I really think.
Probably.
I don't. What they would have done in the Big 12 is irrelevant to me. They wouldn't have done shit in the Pac-12 had they have played Washington or Oregon.
Hey, tell me that USC is not what Texas Tech and OU and OSU were 5-6 years ago offensively.
Yeah, they are.
And everyone made fun of like, oh, they don't have a defense. They don't have a but because
except for the Baker USC year, the Baker year was the one year, and that was the first year that Stoops was gone. They still had somewhat of a defense. They should have won the national championship that year. The rest of the years, they weren't close. Even having great quarterbacks, they weren't close. It got worse and worse as he was there. And this is what I'm saying. There was a reason behind it. Their strength and conditioning was trash. And it's what they've got at USC. They're unable to. He liked to tell everybody that he couldn't recruit defensive players at Oklahoma. Then why is it that Coach Venables is able to? Okay, that's crap. So he's not doing it at SC either. We're talking about blue blood programs that you can recruit anybody there. Okay, so I don't want to hear all that crap. Yeah, dude, I'm telling you now, Lanning, he was. He's lucky he didn't have to play Oregon last year.
You're buying the Dan Lanning stock?
I am. Yeah, okay. I think he's real. I think he's the real deal.
I lean that way, but
he was with Saban and Kirby.
Yeah.
He's in the Saban and Kirby tree. I tend to believe he's okay. Yeah. We'll see what happens. I think it just depends on what we see next. I think that they're easy good enough. I mean, I don't think much of the Big Ten. So when they move to the Big Ten, I think they'll do fine there. In fact, I think.
If they did, yeah, I agree.
I think they'll be fine there.
Yeah.
And I tend to think that SC will compete in the Big Ten because I don't think that the Big Ten is good at all, aside from Penn State's kind of good. I think that Ohio State's good, and I think that Michigan's good, but I don't think they're great. I think that Luke Fickell is just changed the power, the balance of power by going to Wisconsin and what they're going to do offensively there. And on top of the fact that I think that Ohio State is going to regret the day they allowed him to get to Wisconsin and didn't go get him instead of Ryan Day. I think they are. So just my thoughts on it, but we'll see what ends up happening. All I'm saying is here's the bottom line on Lincoln Riley. Folks, you guys can believe whatever the hell you want, USC. You USC fans can believe all you want to. I can tell you that nothing that I say here is BS as far as when it goes to him. I have opinions about certain things. When it comes to Lincoln Riley, it's fact. I know what the hell was going on. A lot of that shit that was happening, it's factual. Not all his coaches went with him, folks. Not all of them went with them.
For all the Pac-12 fans that happen to listen to this, please get down in the comments. And I'd love to make some money. So if there's Pac-12 people or USC people that think that there's nothing nefarious ever going on, then I have a massive swath of swampland to sell you. So please hit me up.
Aside from what? What are you talking about?
If USC fans that think that Lincoln Riley was on the up and up, then I got a swath of swampland to sell.
Right, they're going to continue. They're saying that this is all opinion and crap and just rumors.
Yeah.
I'm like, bro, first off, that's not who I am. I mean, everybody knows here I've been a reporter for most of my career. I don't do that. I can make opinions based on facts, but I'm not just going to sit here and tell you that Lincoln Riley's he did all that stuff because I heard an opinion of somebody else that might have happened. I know damn good and well that happened. I think it's out there. I mean, there's plenty of it out there that they could know that. I don't give a shit. What I'm telling you is that I promise that that's not BS. And I don't care whether you think it is or not, because here's what it is. Give it a year or two. Like Hank and James have both said, that he's on his way out. He won't be there much longer. Yeah, I know. Isn't it right? It took 10 minutes for these fans. Right. Yeah, that's the whole thing, is they haven't been relevant since Pete left.
Correct. Yes.
And and I get it that you're happy about him. I mean, anybody would take an 11-win season over 4. I understand that. But just realize that there's a reason why you lost twice to Utah and once to Tulane. Tulane's got a good coach. They did a great job last year. They still should never beat USC ever.
Nope.
Never. So it is what it is. Yeah, I agree. James, I know that you're one of the guys that thinks this, and I agree. I agree that you're pretty close there.
Yeah, he's not a loyalist. That's for damn sure.
No.
He's not gonna stick it out for.
The only thing that makes me think he might be there a little longer than this, I think he may want to see what he's got with his other quarterbacks that he's bringing in, and he's got a lot of money left on that deal. I tend to doubt it. I don't know. I think that he makes it halfway through this deal, but I don't think he makes it past 5 for sure. And that by then he will have. I think by then he might be starting to tarnish his legacy, but not be there yet. Because if you look at it, we're just looking at these lists. The dude still is in the top 10 and some people's top 5 coaches in the country because of what he does offensively. They want to believe that it was all about what he did that got them to these playoffs at Oklahoma. Not the fact that Okie Light freaking constantly underachieves. Not the fact that freaking Texas has been a dumpster fire for 12 years and he just happened to freaking slide into a perfect timing there for Oklahoma. And I'm saying that as an OU fan. I love it that we won 5 in a row. It's great, or 6 in a row, whatever. That's awesome and cool and everything, but let's not be crazy and think that there's any way in hell that would have happened 15 years ago. Never.
Valid points,
or 25 years ago or 30 years ago in the Big 12, it never would have happened. In the Southwest Conference, that shit never would have happened. All right. Good enough. Folks, thanks a lot for coming in. And Cody, I appreciate you coming in and appreciate your, letting us pick at you a little bit.
Hell yeah, Bubba.
You guys give him some love. Get over there and check out his show. He's not a complete Gundy apologist. He will say what he means. He loves his Cowboys, and I give him props for that, by the way. But this dude has done a great job on his show. I love his show. I think you'll like it too. Locked On Oklahoma State. Go check him out. All Day O State on Twitter. He's a fun follow there too. You can definitely get under his skin a little bit. You can bust his chops there. But yeah, we appreciate everything. We will see you on the next one. And prayers for Golden Blue Dude as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Prayers for Golden Blue Dude.
And Horns Day.